BE1900D class. Today I'm just going to make this video real quick so that you guys have a little bit of an easier time going over the first flight of the day checks, the expanded checklist, and just the basics of what you're going to be seeing in the cockpit. So right here I have a simulator. It is the actual BE1900D simulator. It is not the one that we have at Metro. That one is I believe it's a Beechcraft King Air 200, which is similar to the 1900D, but different panel-wise in a lot of ways. So pretty nice plane that Great Lakes uses. The simulator I downloaded, it's actually it's like 30 bucks or something online to buy. So if you want to get it, you can, you're free to do that, but it's not offered by the school. So just to start off, I'm going to go through, you should have the normal checklist, and soon you should have the expanded checklist as well, if you don't already. So I'm just going to start off from the beginning of the acceptance checklist. Just a note here, the first flight of the day and the first flight run-ups are marked on the normal checklist with a asterisk, a little star on the left side. Just for the first half of the semester, you're going to be doing the first flight of the day checks for most of the flights, but alright, let's just get into it. So in our simulators, if you are the captain, you will be over on the left side, and the logs and hobs should be over here on the co-pilot seat. You can actually see it in the sim. It says hobs flight time down here. That's where the hob should be. And the next thing is brake. Brake in the simulator at Metro is like a little metal thing that, like in the other simulators that we have at Metro. So you'll pull that out to set it, and the gear handle is right here, should be down. And the battery switch, this is the battery switch over here on the left. So usually you turn on the battery, these are flashy, don't really like, those are kind of annoying, so you click those off. As you can see, we started off over here on the right, check the hobs, check the brake, check the landing gear, and then all the way over here to the left with the battery. So you can see we've kind of got a flow from right to left already, so feel free to make your own. This is checklist, kind of starts off as a flow and then kind of goes randomly, so you can make up your own flows for that. And once you turn the battery on, what you're going to be doing is you're going to look up to the top. So in the sim there should be two like green buttons pretty close to each other right below these two electrical indicators. So you'll just press them, and when you press them, it should put a reading of DC volts of the battery. You can see it was on external power. There is no external power, so it's 0. We switch it up to the center bus, that's powered by the battery, and you get 23 volts. Switch to the left generator, nothing, because the generator's not on. Right generator, nothing. Neither of the generators are on. Triple fed bus is also powered by the battery, that should be 23 volts, and the battery should be at least 23 volts. So in the sim there isn't actually this switch at Metro, but there are two buttons, and you should see these go up, or this go up to at least 23 volts minimum. So next we're going to go over to the fuel quantity. So down low on the left side panel you'll see, okay, here we've got our fuel gauges, left and right tank. So left is showing that we got 1,600 pounds, 1,630, and on the right 1,630. So to check the auxiliary tank, there's a spring-loaded switch over here on the right, and you will press and hold that down, and it will tell you how much is in the auxiliary tank, and then it'll go back to what is in the main tanks. Microphone switch in the sim at Metro should be right over here next to the battery switch. However, in the real 1900, switch is up top on the top panel. Up here we have the pilot mic oxygen mask and the co-pilot oxygen mask. There's only one in our simulator. It's just the pilot mic oxygen mask, and it should be switched to normal, and it should always be that until the second half of the semester when you're doing emergency situations. Another thing to note is on the checklist it will say C or C/F or just F in the middle column of the checklist. You've got logs and hops, C, and then checked. The C indicates it's for captain to do, and the F is for first officer. So if it says C/F, then that's captain and first officer. Alright, so we're checking the circuit breakers. Pilot side, there's not very many. When the first officer is reading the checklist, he would say circuit breakers, pilot would say left checked, and then the first officer would say right checked. And so if you look, the first officer has quite a few more circuit breakers over on his side of the panel, his or her side. Position levers, propeller levers, power levers. These are what you're going to use to start the engines with. Propeller levers, you can obviously set the propellers to whatever you're going to be doing, cruise or maneuvers or takeoffs or landings. So when you're looking at the throttle over here, when you get in the sim, it should be at idle. It can also go out of a detent up and into reverse. So the throttle should be at idle. The propeller should be in feather when you get into the sim, but you're going to want to put it into taxi, which is just above this back detent, which is feather. Emission levers should be in fuel cutoff, which is all the way back. So those are the positions they should be in. And then the bleed air and blowers, the first officer will check to environmental off and auto. So those should be over here on the right side. Bleed air, right here, we've got 3 positions. We've got our on for both. We've got environmental off, is what it should be during start and during takeoff. And then we've got instrument and environmental off, which will be during an abnormal situation only. You should turn those all the way off. So they will normally be in environmental off when you get in the sim. Then you're going to leave them like that until you start it up. After the engines are running, you're going to turn these bleeds on to get the passengers some air back there. And when you're taking off to get some more power, you're going to switch them back to environmental off. And then once you've taken off, you're going to switch them back on. So you're going to check that they're environmental off for this check. And then you're going to check for the blowers to be on auto unless it's a really hot day. So this is the blower switch, and you'll just make sure that it's set to auto. Another thing that you'll be checking next is the environmental mode control. That's this right here. Normally, you will switch it to auto once you've started up and the bleeds are on over here, but during the start it should be off. Next, you're going to come over to the annunciator lights. Button is up here, just like it is. It's a little red button up in our sim, and you'll just hold that. You should see these annunciators blink on and off, and these should light up as well when you do that. Alright, so next is the fuel system and panel check. This one's a bit more complicated than the last checks that we've been through. So for this, you're going to close the firewall fuel valves. These are located in the center here of the real BE1900D, while in our simulators at Metro there should be like a little red cover over a switch. There should be 2 of them. I'm not sure, I believe it's up here on the panel on the left side. You flip open the cover and then flip the switch up on both, and you'll notice that these fuel pressure annunciators should remain illuminated. In the sim here that I'm using, they should be pulled out towards me, and you'll see that they are still lit up, both those fuel pressure low annunciators, so that fuel is prevented from going into the engine. Then we're going to switch the standby pumps on one at a time. I'll do the left one first, and you'll see that this top left fuel pressure low annunciator is still there, so is the right one. And then open the fuel valves so that fuel is allowed into the engine. So I'll push this one back in, and you would switch it off on your side there, and you can see that they're both good. And then the standby pumps off one at a time. Do that here, and simulator, the master warning flasher should come on and you just cancel that. That's just part of the test, but it doesn't do it here. And then the next part that is related to the fuel system test is the fuel transfer test. So all you have to do here, the fuel transfer enunciator is down here, just like in the real plane, and it will turn off when it's in the center and then on when it's on either side. So the last part of this check that you're going to do on the fuel panel is to make sure that the auxiliary tank switches are in auto. They have 3 positions: on, which is overriding it and making sure that pump is on if it fails in auto, and off. Both of these switches on the left and the right should be in the middle position, which is auto. So next we'll be doing the fire detection test. So the first officer is going to be down here on the right side panel, down in this area over here. So in the simulator there will be another knob similar to this cabin temperature mode controller. It's different from what's in the real airplane. It's just a knob like this. It'll have 3 positions for the fire detection loops in our simulator at Metro, whereas here we only have 2 loops for that. So at Metro you will send it through loops 1, 2, and 3, and each time you send it through one of these loops, there will be an enunciator up next to these master caution and master warning. There is actually another flasher similar to what this is in right here. It'll have positions 1, 2, 3, left and right, and each will show an enunciation of the master warning flasher, master caution, and the fire extinguisher, which side is going to be fire is on and whether or not it's extinguished. So you can see here it'll show on our fire pull handles where the fire is if we do this test. So on the left and the right, down there, and a couple enunciators down here on this panel. Next we will check the gear handle lights. They should be green. In the simulator there's just like one green box. When the gear is down, this handle will also be green, and you can test it to change to red by pressing a button that's actually, I think it's right next to the gear, like down where this button is. So you'll press that or this, and that'll light up the actual gear handle itself. The next thing is the stall warning horn test, which will be on the first officer side over here on the right. In this simulator it is over here. You can see stall warn is right there. You flip it up and it should make the stall warning horn go off. Next is the flaps check. This is the first officer again, so I think in our simulator the flap handle is somewhere over here, whereas in the real airplane it's over here. We're going to move the flaps, pulling this down, but the flap indicator is right here, and so all we're checking is make sure that this is up and this is up. Next we'll be moving over to the trim control wheel. The captain's checking this. Elevator trim is right here, and this indicator shows where it should be across from, so the 3 should be right across from the middle arrow. Then 0, 0 is what we're looking at with the rudder trim should be on 0, and the aileron trim should be on 0. Next thing is the transponder should be on standby. In our simulator we have a completely different set of radios and everything than is in this simulator, but obviously you just put the transponder on standby. So the next thing is to look up at the top panel here, and you would turn the master panel lights on. There's just this white switch, and that allows you to adjust all these other lights within the cockpit. Actually, a few of these do work in our simulator. I don't think this white button actually does anything, but some of these knobs will help with turning on backlights. So that's the acceptance checklist in entirety. If you have any questions, just let me know. And next up we'll be going through the before start checklist, which is pretty straightforward. So for the before start checklist in the Metro Sim, you are actually going to be looking down here next to the pilot side. He has all the lights down in this area. However, in the real BE1900, you'll be looking up to the top here, and you would be turning on your beacon and nav light up at the top. So we got beacon and nav, and those are on. So the next thing we're going to look at is to make sure that the avionics switch is off. Same place in your simulator as it is in the real airplane. The avionics switch should be down right next to the battery switch, and it should be in the off position. So down here we'll be looking at the inverters. So these should be off during start, as well as the generators, which are right next to everything down here, and those will also be off. Then you'll be checking to make sure that the doors are closed. Then you would make sure that the prop area is clear. So outside, you will actually be starting the right engine first. This is because the left engine is over next to the door. So the right engine is the #1 engine to start.